dead, he says. We want to kill all Muslims here. I've asked him why.
No. This all seems oddly familiar.
Still, he's insisting his group was not responsible for killing him.
If I have, why are all these jewels and treasures here? Was it the dame?
French troops on the road an hour's drive away. There are more back in the capital and reinforcements are coming. But much too slowly. Given the power vacuum here, there just aren't enough foreign peacekeepers to protect those Muslim communities that are left.
For me. That's someday. I'll give her a good hands-off.
Well, this is interesting. We've come to the main headquarters of the anti-Balaka Christian militia, just outside Bangui. They've arrested 3 of their own men. They're on the ground here. They seem to have been caught looting. One had a grenade in his pocket too.
Gold bars lying around?
Nous ne sommes pas les limites de la population centrafricaine. Nous-mêmes, nous sommes le peuple centrafricain. Donc,
this is their leader, Yogozu Silvestre. He's saying, we're not the enemy of the people, we are the people. We're trying to help our country out of its crisis. I'm detaining anyone, he says, that I catch looting. There are bad elements among us. Well, for now, it's very clear those bad elements still have the upper hand in much of the country.
I meant to do that.
I'm standing in a military hangar at Bangui Airport, and around me here, sitting underneath old, rusting Soviet helicopter gunships and other aircraft,
make sure she's not near me.
Of Muslims
who are waiting for a plane
out of here.
She's working with me.
Some of these people are foreigners from Chad who want to go home, but many people say they're locals, Muslims who simply given up on the possibility of living safely in this country. This is our country, says this woman who doesn't want to give her name. It's difficult to leave. Not all Christians are anti-Balaka, but what else can we Muslims do? It's very frustrating and will take a long time to fix. This man, Mohammed Hussein, says the only solution is to split the country in 2. We leave the south and the north is for Muslims. If we don't do this, the war will continue.
Andrew Harding reporting from the Central African Republic. Lots of comments from you to us. Bay Africa says, these are neither Christians nor Muslims, just foolish bandits and criminals. And that view seems to be echoed. Joe Mendy, for example. The people causing mayhem and carnage in the CAR are neither Christians nor Muslims.
Now, we could be one step closer to finding the cure to paralysis. Scientists have managed to implant a microchip in the brain that could decipher the brain's intentions. They tried this out in unconscious monkeys and found that one monkey could control another's limb through thought process alone, as long as they were hooked up to the sensors. They say the goal is for it to be used on humans. We'll speak now to Dr. Ziv Williams of the Harvard Medical School Center for Nervous System Repair. First of all, Doctor, just talk us through this experiment and how it works.
Sure. So the general goal of the experiment was to be able to treat individuals with spinal cord or brain stem injuries who are completely paralyzed.
Not the case.
And what we generally did is we implanted a microchip in the brain, and we were able to use that information to decipher what the monkey was intending to do. For example, if they were intending to move, make an upward movement. And then we used another microchip in the spinal cord to stimulate, elicit our movements in another monkey to produce movements that matched those same intentions. So basically, it was like a corticospinal bypass.
Is this, do both chips work in a kind of wireless way?
So in theory, we could also do this in a wireless fashion, but for these purposes, we used a direct communication using an Ethernet port.
Okay, so how exactly, what's in the chip that makes it so special and able to detect what the intentions are?
So basically what we do is we put these small little micro electrodes that are able to record from many neurons in the brain simultaneously, and we're able to use that information to, based on the different patterns of activity, to determine what the monkey is actually thinking and what they're intending to do. And based on that information, we can actually select a specific electrode in the spinal cord and stimulate a particular area that produces a movement in that same exact intended
that is
direction.
Not what I wanted to see.
So how could you translate this to making people walk again, for example?
You're definitely working with
so
spiders.
There's still quite a lot to do. Walking is actually a fairly complex process because it involves also a lot of proprioceptive feedback, information that comes back from the feet, including balance centers such as the vestibular system. The general concept here and the goal was fairly simple. It was to be able to try to reanimate a limb or a paralyzed limb to move in one of several different directions.
Concern me. This may explain
why but ultimately the goal is to make this into a much finer process where we can move the limb in many different directions and hopefully be able to ultimately do this in three-dimensional space and even being able to grasp particular objects or point to objects.
It sounds as if what you need to do is make it basically more complicated in the sense that you're going to have lots of different neurons operating lots of different muscles and get all those things to work in tandem. Am I correct?
Correct. So probably the biggest challenge in this project is being able to record neural activity as one independent part is fairly straightforward, and being able to stimulate different areas of the spinal cord or muscles is straightforward. It's fairly straightforward in itself. The challenge was really to link the two in real time and to be able to actually determine what the monkey was intending on doing, at the same time match that with parameters that allow them to produce limb movements to those same directions. So that was really the biggest challenge in this initial proof of concept.
Okay, thank you very much. And that's Dr. Ziv Williams of the Harvard Medical School Center for Nervous System Repair. I quite like that.
Indeed, yeah. You're listening to News Today with Kemi Fedchko and Tom Hagler. In a few minutes, we've got an interview with two young sisters who've managed to throw a light on the trouble in their home country of Venezuela without even leaving their bedroom. Reminder of our top stories. The centre of the Ukrainian capital, Kiev, is seeing renewed clashes as riot police continue to try to evict anti-government demonstrators from Independence Square. Colombia's president has sacked the head of the armed forces for remarks deemed disrespectful of the judiciary. And Egypt says it's taking measures to protect foreign tourists after a reported threat from Islamist militants.
Now let's get the latest sports with Steve Crossman.
Thanks, Kem. We may well have had a masterclass in how to get a phone call from UEFA. Manchester City manager Manuel Pellegrini has argued that a Swedish referee should not have been in charge of a game the size of his side's Champions